I know a boy that wanted to play catch and bond with his younger brother. And so they started to play their game of catch, and the boy's mind started to think about a report that was due the next day. And so he became evidently distracted. And the younger brother noticed this, and he presumed that the boy was uninterested in him, and he became quite upset, and their learning experience and their bonding experience became negatively impacted. Now the boy does this within his education as well. He goes from thinking about the content within a chemistry class to thinking about the groceries that he needs to buy, to thinking about a lab report that's due the next day, to thinking about his very unactive lifestyle. So the important thing to recognize is that this wandering of his mind is not just limited to the boy, but it's actually quite ubiquitous within society. And it's called mind wandering, where a mind shifts its attention spontaneously from something in the current moment to something external and irrelevant. And so this mind wandering is in fact good. It's an adaptive mechanism because it allows us to more effectively navigate our daily lives. So I told the boy this mind wandering is used to actually plan and reason. And this planning and reasoning is obviously very important because you don't want to forget about your lab report and you don't want to forget about the groceries that you need to buy. I told him mind wandering is also very important for creative inspiration. It's good to cultivate new ideas. So evidently mind wandering is good. However, there is a cost to your mind wandering. You are not entirely paying attention to your game of catch with your younger brother, and this is because we have a finite number of cognitive resources that we use to process the tasks in the current moment. And so we are terrible multitaskers. And just like the boy sitting in the classroom, he's thinking about some wandering thought. He's not entirely paying attention to the current moment, and so his learning is negatively impacted. And so I saw that the boy clearly needed some help to reduce his mind wandering and mitigate these costs due to mind wandering. And so I gave him 3 strategies, one being breaks, another being mindfulness, and the third being doodling. I told him, take some breaks. Breaks allow for cognitive rejuvenation. And so we have a limited attention span, and when we take a break and come back, our attention is restored and our focus is restored as well. I told him during your break, you can also allow your mind to wander. And so when you come back, your focus is also improved. I told him he can also allocate time in between his classes for breaks, or educators can actually help him with this by implementing, for example, stretch breaks within their classes. Another strategy I gave him to reduce his mind wandering is something called mindfulness, which is where your mind accepts and recognizes your wandering thoughts, but does not react and does not focus on those thoughts. And by doing this, you're redirecting your attention away from those wandering thoughts and back on the current moment. And this is found to be very useful, as I told the boy, within education and in educational settings to reduce their mind wandering and actually improve focus. And it's also very useful in reducing the anxiety and depression in individuals as they're able to get out of their head and actually live in the moment just a little bit. And the final strategy I gave him was the idea of practicing and actually creating unconscious and effortless, undemanding doodles. I told him doodles allow him to keep his brain at an optimal arousal level and essentially keep it awake. And I told him studies have actually shown that individuals that created these doodles ended up recalling more information following a listening task. So I concluded the conversation with, your mind wandering is a beautiful thing. However, there is a cost within your intimate and invaluable relationship with your younger brother and within your relationship with your school. And I asked him if he ever heard of the Latin phrase Carpe Diem, which is usually translated as seize the day. And he said no, and I told him this is what it's all about. Instead of just simply living in the moment, living in the future and just focusing on the future, live in the moment, live in the now, and try to get the most out of it. Thank you.